What's up, y'all? Look, check this out. It is the first official episode of this podcast, and we're going down memory lane with me, Kevin. And today we're going to talk about a game that took over the world, a free game, a flash game, and probably one of the most popular computer games probably to ever be created. And I still go back and play it every once in a while because this game was near and dear to me, and we're talking about Happy Wheels. Who remembers when this game came out in demos on like Newgrounds and just playing it with just a keyboard here and the arrow keys to move the characters and spacebar to jump and all that, and it's just like wow. And we finally go to the real website, totaljerkface.com, created by Jim Bonacci on June 4th, 2010. 2010. This game, as of now, well over 15 years old. I remember when this game came out, everybody, everybody was playing this game, man. YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers blew up and made names for themselves because they would do let's plays of this game because it was easy, it was fun, it was addicting, and it was funny. Just to throw some names out there, with this game, you had, PewDiePie, Toby Turner, Markiplier, Dashy, just to name a few YouTubers who just kind of built a following from Happy Wheels. It was a game that everyone knew. This game blew up and took over the world, man. It was free, and that was the best part because there was, it looked so simple on the animation style and the very, very limited voice acting and the oh so graphics it had. But you can tell there was a lot of work put into it. And not only that, but the best part was like the fans, the users, you could create an account and make your own levels. And that's really where the game kind of blew up, is where people were creating levels and people were playing them. And it was users all around the world. It wasn't just here in the US, it was every Canada, Europe, Japan, like anywhere that had access to this site could play Happy Wheels, create characters, or not. You couldn't create characters. I wish you could. That'd been cool, but you couldn't. You had a very limited set of characters. But you create levels. I mean, some of the famous levels that everyone would create, like who remembers the bottle run levels where you had this little boost in the beginning, and then there was a bridge of bottles, and you just had to scurry across the bottles, try to make it to the other side on the victory, and not fall down off the edge of the map. Ball throws, sword throws. Who remember those? Where your character is just sitting there stagnant, and you can only move their arms. So you take the balls and you try to throw it in the targets or in the spots. Same thing with the swords. Take the swords and try to kill all the people. The don't move levels. Those levels, a lot of people didn't like them because, like, they just want to play the level. But the don't move levels, I thought they were cool because you don't move, you don't touch nothing. It was the cinematic thing, and I can probably tell you those took a lot of time to make because it was a thing where you didn't move. The character moved on its own based on how the creator of the level made the level. So like if the platform starts off as a decline, so you kind of roll down it, and then you bounce off this thing and land on another thing, and it pushes you across this thing, and eventually you hit a victory. Like it was just so cinematic and so creative how those were made. Like I never, even at the time I was playing this, when this game first came to my attention, man, uh it was around 2010, 2011. So it was like, where was I, like early high school? So that's all I would play. Just come home and just play this because it was free and it was a great game. But I, even then, I wouldn't have the patience to make levels, especially not the dope moves. There's no way in hell I could have made any of them levels. And then you had the impossible levels. Famously with the pogo guy. Who remembers the pogo guy? It's literally a dude on a pogo stick, and that was his vehicle. Everyone has a different set of vehicles, but we're gonna get to the characters soon. But the impossible levels were mostly you're this pogo guy. There's this wall in front of you, and you have to jump over this wall, and there's other hazards in the way like harpoons or bombs or spikes or wrecking balls, anything that can kill you and stop you from getting to that victory. Because in order to get a victory, your character has to be alive. Like he can have half his body, like it just be his torso and his head, but as long as he's still alive and moving, you'll get that victory. Let's go into the characters we have here. So famously, when you first click on Happy Wheels and go to the website, the main menu, the main screen that pops up, uh, it's either one or two characters. You have the wheelchair guy, which is the old dude in a wheelchair that had jets. It was a jet powered wheelchair. And then the other person you see is uh, a big woman, and that's the effective shopper. That's her name, the effective shopper. It's this large lady, this big Rhonda looking lady in the motorized shopping scooters, and she had a little bit of groceries in there, and she can jump. So a lot of characters with their vehicles either could jump or had some type of boost. So let me just go down here. So I said the wheelchair guy. I said the effective shopper. You had the Segway guy. Plain and simple, a dude in a gray suit with a white helmet on a Segway. And the Segway could jump. And then my favorite character, the irresponsible dad, which is this guy, which is probably one of the faces of the franchise as well, is the dad with the kid on the back of the bike. And he was my favorite character because he was the easiest to control, the best to control, and he didn't have a boost or nothing, but what you could do with him is that you can take the arrow keys, the left and right arrow keys, and tap them together real fast, and he could like float or levitate or fly over gaps and hazards, and he had that cool ability. But his was the best because like he was like very easy to control. He was always chose to do like the bottle runs, the obstacle courses, the just any other level. He was always my go-to. Then you have the moped couple, which is this man and woman, obviously a couple on this motorized bike, this motorbike of some sorts. Assuming it's a moped, doesn't look like one, and they had a boost. So if you hit, I believe it was, I don't know, it was either shift or space in the boost and make him obviously go faster. I didn't much care for that certain group. I didn't much care for the moped couple because that motorbike was very clunky. It was kind of hard to control. Uh, and then you had the explorer guy, the Indiana Jones wannabe, this fucking dude in this giant ass mine cart that sucked. I hated that. I don't think anyone voluntarily chose that guy because that mine cart, it was literally just this big hunk of metal with wheels on it, and you're just sitting on the inside of it, and you couldn't do a damn thing. Like there was no boost, there was no nothing. It was just a big metal box, and it was shitty to control because if you, if if he gets to a certain speed, he'll tip over. Some bitch will tip over, and you couldn't get him back up on his wheels. So he was just laying there. He's just laying there inside this metal box, just looking at the ground or the sky, whichever way he tips over. And you got to restart the level because his big dumbass couldn't control this metal box on wheels. I don't think anybody picked him. I never did. The hell with that guy. Fuck him. And then another one of my favorites is the lawnmower guy. Big fat black dude on a lawnmower, on a John Deere lawnmower. And his lawnmower could jump, and you just mow the shit out of everything and everyone. Literally nothing can be in your way. Just lift up your lawnmower and just run people over, and the lawnmower fucking eat them up. Fucking blood, body parts going everywhere. It sounds like a gruesome game, like it's, real life or something. I mean, it is gruesome if you put it in context and on paper, but it's literally the most like animated, cartoonish looking game you could possibly think of, other than, you know, games for children. But you can tell this game had a very limited budget, but the guy Jim who created this went far, and he even created some characters that were there way after the launch, like the helicopter guy, big heavy set dude in this helicopter. Okay, he was in it. So the helicopter, it wasn't like a helicopter like we see in the sky. It was like he was in this chair that had some wheels on it and then propellers above him. So it was like a ghetto rig, handmade helicopter, and that's how he. And you know what? He wasn't the easiest to control either. At the time when he came out, we thought it was cool because it's a new character. So a new character means new levels, new obstacles, new techniques. So we all fucked with him for a while until we just got tired of his ass. Th- then I remember when it came out, the irresponsible mom, a counterpart to the irresponsible dad. So it's a woman on a bike, and she has two kids. She's got a little kid on the back of the bike with a like a smaller handle and pedal, who's help pedaling the back end of the bike, and then she's got a baby boy in the basket in the front of the bike. And I didn't really much care for her either. Like she was cool to use at sometimes, but that little girl on the back, sometimes that part where that little girl's on would disconnect from the main bike, and then all of a sudden that bike would just have like no balance. So this mom, this lady is just bouncing all over the place with her bike because she can't get it on balance because the damn baby was providing all the balance, but the shit disconnected because a meteor landed on her and the baby's flat and so is the half end of the bike. So now here's this mom who has to continue to get that victory with a bike that can't stay on its own two wheels because it needed that third little wheel to stay straight up. Jeez. So I'm getting livid, but it's true. Like anyone who's played this game, we all have our favorite characters. We all have the characters we hated, and we all had the characters we just like, oh, whatever, they're there. I already mentioned the pogo stick guy. It's literally just a dude on a pogo stick. He was the hardest. Wait, not necessarily the hardest to control, but it was like if you had a long level, he was the worst character because it's a pogo stick. It would take you hours to complete a level because he's on a pogo stick. Everyone else is on wheels. He's not going to get that shit done. And then a character who I say was underrated, but he was clunky and hard to use, especially for majority of the levels, and that's Santa. Yes, Santa Claus. There was a Santa Claus character, and what it was is, well, it was Santa Claus, big dude in a red suit and hat in a sleigh, and instead of reindeer, it was elves. He had two elves controlling the sleigh, and if you hit space, I think it was space for him, he would float in a magical way. So like you press space, and then you hear jingle bells, and there'd be snow coming out from underneath the sleigh, as if you would see Santa around Christmas time. Riding in the sleigh. But Santa was hard to use because, like, yeah, sure, you had your transportation with that sleigh was the elves. So if those two elves pulling a sleigh were to die or disconnected from the sleigh, you're not moving. That sleigh, Santa's just gonna be sitting there waving his arms up and down, flapping that whip at nothing because the elves are dead underneath the damn sleigh. So Santa's just gonna sit there just moving his arms out like an idiot because you're sitting there pushing the buttons and hitting space and the arrow keys trying to make him a move, but he's not doing nothing. He's just sitting there. But there was a very like we all thought, at least I did, at least I did, thought that this game was eventually going to be like bigger than what it became because there was a lot of empty slots because I didn't remember how many I counted, but there was a a good amount of like empty slots in the character select screen, and I thought I was like, wow, that's a lot of people to choose from. From the time the game like launched on the Total Jerkface website to the time the hype kind of died down, there was only four characters made on top of the four or five that were already there. I think there was five. Let's see. Pogo Santa. Okay, so five. There was five on top of the six that were already there. So I believe there was 11 total characters. I don't think I'm missing any of them. Characters you can control. I'm not counting the extras like the elves, the kids. I'm just kind of like the wheelchair dude, the Segway guy, irresponsible dad, the moped couple, effective shopper, explorer guy, lawnmower guy, irresponsible mom, helicopter guy, pogo stick guy, and Santa Claus. I believe I got all these characters. But at the time, That was the game to play. That was the game. And it gave I don't want to say it gave a ton of competition, but it gave some type of like I don't know how to say it. Like there's definitely a lot of attention for it because this also came out around the time Minecraft did, and Minecraft blew up just as fast, if not faster, this did. And the difference is Minecraft wasn't free, but Minecraft is still big today. Happy Wheels is now considered retro and reminiscent of the heyday of YouTube. But at the time when it blew up, it was big. Like it had a fandom, it had forums, it had a wiki site, like it had its own everything, like a lot of other things do. It had its own merch. You can buy Happy Wheels T-shirts and I think hats. It even had a mobile app. You can download the app and play Happy Wheels on your phone. Like it wasn't just strictly stuck to a computer and keyboard anymore. And I'm thinking like, oh, it's gonna get bigger than this. Like, well, maybe they'll do an animated series, at least on YouTube or Comedy Central, something that can, have that type of content on there, but it didn't. I think the mobile app made it big enough, and then of course, uh, Java Flash kind of Adobe Flash Player, JavaScript, and all those things kind of just flooded away. So Total Jerkface is still a website you can still go to. You can still play Happy Wheels just as you did back then. There's obviously some changes has happened since its heyday. You know, it's and I honestly thought that I wish it would have gone bigger and made you know uh, maybe a version on Steam where it was updated and had better graphics and controls and maybe more characters could have been created. Maybe limited run could have made a physical copy and play it on your PlayStation or Xbox or whatever, and that would have been cool. Play Happy Wheels with a controller. Maybe I don't know. There was only one way to find out, but it never got that far. But this is, I just kind of missed this time where this was the game to play. Every YouTuber, every Let's Player, everybody was making videos about this game on YouTube, and you knew when you clicked on that video, you knew you were going to laugh because the game by itself, when you played, made you laugh. It was just one of those games that I just wish would have just stuck around a little bit longer because it was just like I said, I can't stress this enough. It was that game at the time. We all were playing it, and it was free. And that's part of the reason why it kind of got so big because it was free. You didn't have to pay for nothing. Just go to the website, go to Google, and either type in totaljerkface.com or Happy Wheels. It'll just take you there, you know. Jim Bonacci, I think I'm saying his name right. Bonacci. Bonacci. Might be wrong, but that sounds right to me. He also created a game just before Happy Wheels called Divine Intervention. So if anyone's ever played that, which eventually that's going to get an episode here on this podcast as well. But I got to talk about Happy Wheels. He's the same guy that created Happy Wheels. And he just did that shit and took over the world with it. You know, like I said, Minecraft was big at the time, but so were other things. That was just like it just couldn't compete with those paid games. Minecraft and World of Warcraft, those crafting MMORPGs, you know, Steam was up and big, so there's big games coming out. Everyone was all over the fandom of creepy pastas, so Slender Man was getting big and SCP and all those things. It was just like it came out at the right time. Like I don't think this game would be as big as it got if it came out today, but when it came out at the right time. Because I believe the heyday from like 2010 to 2016, at least in my opinion, was the heyday of YouTube. And this game came out in 2010, the summer of 2010, and that was perfect. That was perfect. It got big the way it did because the time it came out, how fast you could have played it, how easy it was to play, and just you can get lost in this game. Like this was a game that I would just kill so much time in playing and just get lost. You know, it's just I just could not stop playing this game, especially at the younger age when you're a kid and you just could care less. Like the hell with your homework, the hell with these projects. I got this cool video game in front of me that I didn't have to pay for, you know, because I just typed in it on Google and there it was, right to my disposal. I don't know, like who else just kind of lost hours and playing all the different creative levels in Happy Wheels. Who sat here and laughed every time you played the dad character and his son would die. He just goes, "Damn it, damn it," you know, and you just move on. You just move on and finish the level, you know, or all the funny ways that these characters would act, or all the noises they would make, or all the ways you could have died. Like it's this is just not a game where it was like there was no checkpoints. There was no story. It's just play. Play the game. Pick up and play. It was considered a racing platformer. And sure, there were some, like I said, the bottle runs was you can call a racing, or the harpoon runs, if y'all remember the harpoon run levels. But it was definitely a platformer. You did obstacles. You went from left to right, side scrolling. It wasn't 3D. It was just the most basic idea, the most basic display, but the most entertaining thing we could have had played for $0. I don't know about you, but that was just it was great. And just showing my love for this game, throwing it on my podcast. I even on my YouTube channel have kind of created a video similar to this where it's just me giving this game its flowers. Like I said, still to this day, I go back and just play it every once in a while because it's just that it's that game. I'm gonna keep stressing that it is that game. We all have that one game we call that game, and to me, Happy Wheels is that game. We all know it. We've all played it. There'd be no way in hell that you're listening to this and never heard of it or never played this game. And if you have, you had a good time, and there's a reason why you're listening to this episode here. Why you're hearing me, you know, giving this game its props right here before you. But that's all I can really say. You know, it's a game where it feels like there's a lot of stuff on a plate, but it's really just all creative levels. Like you had different hazards, but all those hazards, anything can become a hazard in Happy Wheels. If you just alter it a little bit, like you can have other like static figures in a level in the background, but you can turn that character into a hazard by, uh, you know, having a landmine by their feet and you can't see it and you just walk up, saying like sure the landmine, but still it's that person. Okay, we have to jump over that person and go around them somehow. Or have stuff fall on top of you like they had the big blue vans that would fall on top of you, or the meteors, or random shapes. They would always have random shapes fall from the sky, like a big old circle or a big old square or something, just something heavy enough with enough force to squish a character. Like anything could have been a hazard, or anything could have not been a hazard. It was just a free form game for people to get creative. But you know what? I am going to say one thing though about the creative levels. As much as there were great levels, there was just as many annoying, stupid, trolling levels. And what I mean by that, I mean like uh the naked girl glitches. Who remembers that phase in Happy Wheels? There was a naked girl glitch, like oh, you're stuck in this box, and there's like two or three female characters, and it's like oh, uh, pause it, rate 5 stars, and then restart, and they'll be naked. No, they just did that so they can get the high ratings. Or the levels that would freeze and glitch up on you because they just jam packed so much shit in there. Like those are the levels I hate it because like that's just crap. Get that trash out of here. You're junking up the user select levels, because we don't want that. We want to play the game. We want to see how creative people got with some, and they were great. There was a lot of them that were very creative, you know, because at the time it came out, Happy Wheels was still big when Five Nights at Freddy's first came out, and when that game came out, that took over as well, and they were making a bunch of Five Nights at Freddy's levels, you know. Everyone was making creative levels dedicated to their favorite YouTubers. Everyone was making levels dedicated to whatever was hot at the time. So like, uh, there was like a bunch of kill Justin Bieber levels because Justin Bieber was coming out and getting big at the time. There was a bunch of Slender Man levels because Slender Man was getting big at the time. Uh, you know, um, Super Mario. People were paying homage to Super Mario, so they made Super Mario like levels. Those were cool. You know, it was just how it was very creative of what all these people could have done with these levels. And at the time, I didn't have the patience to do that. But it's there was just no way that this game could have gone further because it was like Super Mario Maker before Super Mario Maker, you know. But the difference was like you didn't have all these IPs. The only IP you had was just the Happy Wheels characters. It's not like you were making actual Mario levels with Mario textures and sounds and effects and power ups and all that. You just had what you had to your disposal on this website, shapes and colors and the Happy Wheels characters themselves. Like it was just too big of a game to not go further, but it wasn't big enough to go further, if you know what I'm saying. Like the time it came out to the time it kind of started to fade away, it fit perfectly in like a puzzle piece to the heyday of YouTube. When it comes to YouTube Let's Plays, Happy Wheels has to be one of the first games you think of, man. It has to be. Because everyone who's doing Let's Plays has a series of Happy Wheels. They I'm telling you, it's like I said, some of the people I watch, like Dashy and Markiplier, have well over 100 videos of Happy Wheel gameplays. But this is all I can say for this game. I've been going on here for roughly a half hour now about just about the game, how much I like this game, and I just broke down the gist of it. Like it's not like a full fledged game you can get on Steam or you know or get on disc and for PlayStation or get it at the Xbox Game Pass. Like it was just this free Flash game. It's a Flash game. That's. But I think I said all I could say about this game. Obviously, you heard me tell you guys how much I love this game for damn near a half hour. And that's all I'm going to leave it at that. But, that's all I can say. That's all I can say before I start repeating myself. And if you haven't played Happy Wheels, why? Why haven't you? Go play it. No one's going to judge you. If they do, who cares? They're not happy. Make them play Happy Wheels. They'll be happy. But after this, I'm gonna head out of here. I'm probably gonna play some Happy Wheels now. Thank you for listening to this podcast, the very first official episode. Aside from my YouTube videos, this is probably something I want to keep on consistently. Not as heavy as my YouTube. Like I might do an episode a week of this podcast versus YouTube where I upload every single day. But we'll see where I can take this. We'll see where it goes. And if it doesn't go anywhere, I'm still gonna do it. I think it's fun sitting around shooting the shit by myself. It's, I'm just sitting here with a microphone talking about a game I like. Ah, well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm out.